The next day, Vicar returned to the journalism club along with the others, and despite being here, his eyes showed that in reality his mind was thinking about the demon Dantalion who was disguised as a student named Benet. The news about the incidents that did not cease reached the club. Everyone started to talk among themselves about this topic, and Vicar simply remained silent, lost in his thoughts. Next to our boy were Tudor and Bianca, who had their hands resting on the table where there were a bunch of reports while they were reading. Anna placed her hands on the table and explained that she had compiled the incidents that occurred inside and outside of the academy. Now that there was a shortage of manpower in the club, she wanted new first-year students to participate in activities to lend a hand. Upon seeing the enormous amount of reports, Tudor was somewhat surprised, while on the other side Bianca and Vicar remained calm. Dolores was next to Anna and she was absorbed in reading a report. Anna, who had both hands resting on the table, started looking at them and gave them the order to choose a report, investigate it, and bring an article. Peggy picked up one of the reports, and his eyes filled with fear and he couldn't help but get nervous since this was going to be his first article after joining Rukkan. Bianca took 2 reports, started to read, and with a serene look realized that many incidents had occurred. She did not know what was happening in the Ecliptic. There were a large number of incidents. One was about the premonition of terrorists. It was said that a terrorist announced he would poison the river of Wenzir, the capital of Rock. Imperial Capital was investigating the case centered on Laurie Wyathan. Another incident called a handsome theater actor disappears. Actor B disappeared when returning home after a play. It was very likely that the crime had been committed by a fanatic. Also occurred a strange murder case where the head of the family disappeared without leaving any trace. There was an incident called Don't Ask Questions on the Street. Mr., who had injured several people on the street, was sentenced to death. He still complained that he had not committed any crime and that his face had changed. The last but not least was called Rapid Increase in Disappearance Cases. The disappearance cases in Wenzir were increasing. It could still not be identified the culprit and many thought it was the work of the night hound. After carefully examining each report, using his hand, Vicar picked up a particular report that caught his attention quite a bit. The title of this report was Case of Disappearance Within the Academy. 3 students from the academy had disappeared. There were many witnesses, since normally the 3 went together, concluding that it had been an escape for Lau. Upon reading the report, Vicar's eyes filled with rage and he clenched his teeth tightly. On the report was the photograph of student Benet, better known as Dantalion. Vicar was fully aware that this bastard was one of the 10 elite corpses. Several hours later, night fell and the moon emerged, illuminating every corner of the dark city. In some middle-class neighborhood there was a small house, inside were the husband and wife sleeping peacefully. Suddenly the husband opened his eyes and began to gaze at the ceiling in silence. Several seconds later, while the wife was sleeping like a log, he removed the sheet and quietly sat up. On the upper floor, there was a wooden window and the light from the street lights outside was coming inside through it. The husband went up to the 2nd floor, sat on the sofa, started looking at the ground and remained thinking in silence. After a while, he lifted his head and his pupils changed completely and turned green just like those of demons. In front of him appeared several masked demons. Among them was Afibo, a guy who wore a tie, another guy who carried giant scissors as a weapon, and a woman with red hair. The husband began to observe them and asked if they had discovered anything about the plague mask that was following them. Here we are revealed that Afibo is the 9th corpse, Dantalion's subordinate. He began to speak in demonic tongue and started to reveal everything he knew. The woman was named Gerontu. She was also the 9th corpse, Dantalion's subordinate. She stayed listening in silence. The guy who carried giant scissors as a weapon was named Heave. He also began to speak in demonic tongue. And finally, the guy wearing a tie was Fido. The husband who was sitting in the chair was the 9th corpse, Dantalion. He put his hand under his chin and concluded that the guy with the plague mask was very careful since they had not seen the mask after that day. He extended his hand and his 4 fingers transformed into the sharp faces of the victims he had devoured. With a serene look he thought that this could not be avoided and ordered them to express and the scope of work from now on. He pointed his fingers at his subordinates and fired 4 powerful shots, which hit them squarely in the faces. The faces that Dantalion had on his fingers began to merge with the masked demons. He decided it was time to share his faces. In the blink of an eye, the faces of the victims that Dantalion had devoured merged with the demons, who now appeared to be simple humans. Now they could work without having to worry about being discovered. He gave his subordinates the order to go to the areas with more light and find the mask of the pandemic. While Dantalion was explaining this, the door of the room slowly began to open. It was his wife. Upon opening the door, she saw her husband sitting in the chair and the demons, wondering what was happening. She put her hand near her mouth and couldn't help but sweat as she didn't know what he was doing awake at this hour in the morning. With a worried look, she asked who these guys were. Dantalion began to stare at her with a calm look and remained silent for several seconds. Then he closed his eyes and sighed as he wanted to admire that lively face a little longer. At that moment, Fido drew his weapon, appeared behind the wife, placed the blade on her neck and with a cold expression prepared to end her life. Dantalion asked him to make sure to leave her face untouched. Upon hearing this, the wife's eyes filled with fear. She did not know what was happening, and just before she could do anything about it, Fido followed his master's order and slit the woman's throat, causing blood to splash everywhere. The head of the wife fell to the ground and her eyes filled with tears. The plan to open the door had gradually been delayed due to the death of Andromelius and the appearance of the pandemic mask. Dantalion put his hand over his face and his face began to merge with the other faces. He was very upset. His hairstyle changed, and he asked Aphibo to follow him since they had to see her. Upon hearing this, Aphibo started observing him and upon seeing his new face, he couldn't help but be somewhat surprised. The face of Dantalion changed again. Now he was a handsome man. He put his hand under his chin and with a smile decided to go and relieve his accumulated stress. After a few hours, he dressed like a priest and went to the church that had a candle lamp on the ceiling. He closed his eyes and began to show a kind smile. At that moment, a woman appeared and asked why he was smiling. Dantalion, who had his hands resting on his abdomen, continued smiling. This woman was none other than Saintess Dollars. He replied that he could not help but smile having the beautiful Saintess standing in front of him. She began to stare at him with a calm look, called Dantalion Sir Quilty and explained that she had not come to see him to make jokes. He reached out his hand to her and with a smile changed the subject. He was worried because her visits had become scarce lately. She approached him and with a serene look replied that recently there had been many murders and missing persons. So she had been busy covering them. The bastard Dantalion began to pretend, saying that the activities of her academy club had become busy. The world was becoming increasingly brutal. On the outside he started to show a kind smile, but deep down he was happy since he was the one responsible behind those cases. Dollars started to look at him with an insecure gaze and she remained silent. Quilty Lun Indulgentia was the head of the Indulgentia family, the collateral line of the Quo Vadis family. They were currently volunteering and managing the resources of Quo Vadis in the orphanage, monastery and hospitals. But they were supporting the exemption system that erased the profits of rich sinners. She knew that this two-faced bastard was hiding something. He approached her and with a smile asked why she had to talk to him. Dollars began to stare at him and remained thinking in silence. With a serious look she extended her hand to one side and replied that she had come to request that the exemption system be abolished since it was wrong to exempt someone from all sins just because one was rich. He opened his eyes and with a serene look asked what was wrong with this, since the exemption was a policy that had been in the church until now. Asking if donating a large sum of money wasn't already sufficient punishment. With a look full of determination she mentioned that sins were something one must expose oneself to God for. And forgiveness was granted once one had received the appropriate punishment. She placed her hand over her chest and with a determined look revealed that the people affected by the exemption could not be saved. Her words left this bastard in shock and speechless. Several seconds later he closed his mouth and realized that this was getting out of hand. He put his hands on his abdomen, turned his back to her and explained that he was just following the doctrine of the church. According to him, it was better for her to talk to her father, the cardinal. She remained listening in silence and he asked her to please leave since he had heard that the students from the academy were coming to volunteer today. So there was no need to have a dispute within the Quo Vadis family in front of her juniors. She turned her back to him, looked back with a calm gaze and decided to come back later so they could talk a little more about this. After saying this, she began to head towards the exit of the church. The bastard Dantalion put his hand over his face and his eyes transformed into those of a demon and he couldn't help but smile. His gaze fixed on our girl as he thought this was beautiful. Some veins appeared on his face, causing him to grit his teeth and start bleeding. He had almost given in to his impulse to collect her face. But he couldn't do this yet and needed to hold himself back. He started to imagine her lying on top of some masks filled with blood. The saintess was the finest product he had discovered in this world. He wanted to collect her face when her face was in despair after chaos descended into this world. He began to hug himself and his body started to tremble. He was so anxious for that moment to arrive that a demonic eye appeared behind his head. They had to open the door as soon as possible for chaos to descend as soon as possible. After a few hours, someone wearing boots stood up. This was our boy Vikir. He was in front of the entrance of the orphanage. This was the orphanage that Cindy Wayne had found after analyzing the books of Andromalius. It was very likely that it was connected to the 10 elite corpses. This orphanage had the flag of the Quo Vadis family. And if a demon was planted within the Iron Blood family and the Holy Divine family, then it was also very likely that there were demons hidden within other families. After the explosion, Night Bloodhound caught attention, so he wanted to use volunteering as an excuse to slowly investigate the students. While Vikir was distracted, Tudor, Sancho and Piggy appeared with a cheerful smile. Sancho began to observe Vikir. Tudor and Piggy started to look at the orphanage and were somewhat surprised to see that this was the orphanage where they had come to volunteer. Tudor put his arm over Vikir's neck and said that he was very lucky to have friends who were willing to volunteer with him, to which Vikir responded that he had never asked them to come. He sighed and fell silent, his eyes filled with concern as things had become bothersome. Tudor's family had control over the orphanage and Dantalion's bastard was the priest of the church. This is the end of the video. If you guys want to see the next part, to watch this video please subscribe our channel, like and share the video. Thank you for watching the full video.